Welcome back. Talks aimed at trying to bring peace to Ethiopia and to end the conflict between the central Ethiopian government and the province of Tigray have been due to start here in South Africa. These talks have been delayed in the past because of what were termed logistical problems and because of a lack of consultation. The conflict in Ethiopia has seen thousands of people being killed. It's dragged the neighbouring country Eritrea into that conflict. Eritrea was once a province of Ethiopia. William Davidson is a senior analyst for Ethiopia at the Crisis Group. William, good afternoon to you. It's been a long conflict, a very bloody conflict. What are the prospects for peace in these talks?
We're still certainly quite a long way off a sort of sustainable settlement that would bring peace here. I think the African mediators and others will be hoping they can get the federal and Tigray representatives to agree to a cessation of hostilities. But even that faces quite a major challenge because we do have active ongoing military confrontations inside Tigray with the federal government, its Eritrean allies having made significant gains recently, capturing major cities, and the federal government stating its intentions to essentially control all of Tigray, all federal facilities. And if that remains the federal government's objective, it's not that likely that the Tigray delegation will accept those sorts of terms.
At its heart, as I understand it, you have a much deeper understanding than I do. Tigray wants a lot more independence than the central government wants it to have. That's quite a fundamental thing to disagree on. There's no easy way around that.
Yeah, that's just part of their disagreement. Certainly there was a constitutional dispute that came at the end of a political dispute since Abiy Ahmed took power, and that was about whether Tigray could run its own elections, a yes related to autonomy. Then, of course, since the war has been ongoing, we've seen atrocities. We've seen Amhara regional state, a neighbouring regional state to Tigray in Ethiopia, sort of swallow up part of Tigray and claim it as its own violently. We've seen the Eritrean intervention as well. So the political differences that caused the war relating to autonomy, they have been exacerbated by events during the war as well, making resolution that much more difficult.
What role is Eritrea playing in this? It seems to be on the side, have I got this right, of the central Ethiopian government, but it was once at war with Ethiopia. Why are they involved in this?
Obviously, it's a somewhat complicated backstory to that. But essentially, when Eritrea used to be a province of Ethiopia, fought a long independence war itself. Then after it got independence in the 90s, it fought a war with Ethiopia. But that was an Ethiopia led to a large degree by the TPLF, by Tigray. So President Isaias of Eritrea, his real Ethiopian adversaries are in Tigray. And that is why now we see the Eritrean government fighting alongside the Ethiopian central government against Tigray region.
Does the fact that Eritrea is involved make it harder to stop this conflict? Is it a complicating factor?
Very much so. Even if these peace talks between the federal and Tigray representatives, even if they go incredibly well, we see a cessation of hostilities, resumption of aid and the lifting of a blockade on Tigray and then political negotiations. There is no guarantee at all that Eritrea will welcome that. There's been no signs that Eritrea wants to see a negotiated settlement. So they could remain to be a very significant spoiler. They have a large amount of military forces inside Tigray. And generally the understanding is that the Eritrean objective is the complete eradication of Tigray's ruling party, the TPLF, and everything it stands for in terms of Tigray's autonomy and strength, because they see a powerful Tigray as a regional rival.
So that means if it becomes a fight for the Tigrayans as a sort of existential fight, if they lose it, they're literally dead. I mean, they're just going to keep fighting. There's no way this ends.
There is very much a zero-sum element in terms of the political dispute, let's say, between the Tigrayan and Eritrean leaders. As things are, as you described, on the Tigray side, they do see that as the Eritrean objective. Of course, Tigray itself, and this is one of the things that has developed during the war, making the situation that much more difficult. Tigray has now developed a very large fighting force of its own, possibly numbering in the hundreds of thousands of troops. And because of the animosity between the Eritrean and Tigray leadership and their history, the Eritrean government now sees that Tigray force as something of an existential threat as well. So as much as we should be positive about these efforts at getting a negotiated settlement, we should be clear-eyed about the nature of the disagreements that still exist, particularly those between the Eritrean and Tigray leadership.
Is there anything that the outside world can do here? Is there any kind of pressure that would come from other parties that would actually have an impact on any of the three parties involved in this, Tigray, the Central Ethiopian government, and Eritrea? Or is outside pressure really meaningless because of the very complicated history of Ethiopia?
Clearly, the external actors have struggled to influence the situation so far. But equally, obviously, they're doing the right thing at the moment in achieving these direct talks between the federal and Tigray representatives. They need to keep up that sort of diplomatic pressure to try and get a truce, to try and get aid flowing back into all of Tigray. And then what really hasn't been tried so far is there's been a constant hope and reliance on diplomatic processes. But if the parties continue to try and find a military solution to this conflict, then really we should see firmer action from the African Union, but also from the US and other actors in terms of making it absolutely clear to the federal and Eritrean governments, also the Tigray leadership, that they will face consequences if they do not try and find a negotiated settlement to this war.
William Davidson, thank you. A senior analyst for Ethiopia at the Crisis Group. Really do appreciate that analysis. Very complicated, very important conflict. Hopefully there'll be some resolution based on the talks happening here in South Africa.